Hi, I'm Daniel Long, and today we're going to be playing Lotus Field combo in Pioneer. So Lotus Field is a hexproof land. It enters the battlefield tapped, and when it ETBs, you need to sacrifice 2 lands. So notably, that'll include Lotus Field if it's the first or second land you play. So this is a pretty huge cost, and the benefit is it taps for 3 mana of any color. So on its surface, this doesn't seem much better than just playing a normal land, right? Because you need to play your first 2 lands, you play Lotus Field as your 3rd land, and now you have access to 3 mana just like you would with any other land. So we're going to abuse this, and one of the best ways to do that is with Thespian Stage. So Thespian Stage you can play as your 4th land, then spend 2 mana and tap the stage in order to make it a copy of Lotus Field. So now your 4th land unlocks 6 mana, which is great, but we can do way better than 6 mana. So in order to generate even more mana, we have a bunch of untap effects in the deck. So Hidden Strings is the most efficient untapper. It's 2 mana to untap 2 permanents. So when you have your 2 Lotus Fields on board, this is basically plus 4 mana, right? Spend 2 mana, get 6 back. This can also tap things down, which is good for if your opponent has islands or, other blue lands untapped. You can, in your first main phase, use Hidden Strings to tap down those blue lands, then go to your second main phase, and they won't have the blue mana for counterspells available. Hidden Strings also has Cipher, which is basically flavor text. Next, we have Vizier of Tumbling Sands. I almost always cycle this card. So it's 2 mana to cycle, and when you cycle it, you get to untap a land, or untap a permanent. So this is basically net plus 1 mana. You spend 2 mana, you get 3 back, so basically free mana. And finally, we have Pore over the pages, which is 5 mana to draw 3 cards, untap 2 lands, and then discard a card. So normally this will net you 1 mana and net you 1 card. Plus you get to discard a random useless card in your hand, like, maybe an extra Lotus Field or whatever. So your overall hand quality gets better. You get a whole bunch more mana. This is overall just a great card. So then what do we do once we've generated all that mana? The primary win con is Fae of Wishes, using Granted to take a card from the sideboard. And my win con of choice is Debt to the Deathless. So this is X white white black black. Each opponent loses 2 times X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. So interestingly, no land in our mana base actually makes white or black mana except for Lotus Field. But because this is over in the sideboard, you don't ever need to worry about drawing it, and you'll only ever cast it when you have your Lotus Fields on board to make the white and black mana. So basically, this means you need 14 mana to cast Debt to the Deathless for X10, right, to hit your opponent for 20, which means you need 18 mana in order to cast Granted and then spend 14 on Debt to the Deathless. And obviously this amount of mana changes as your opponent's life total changes, right? If they play a couple shock lands, then you need less mana, whereas if your opponent is on a life gain deck, then you need more mana. Some people have been playing different win cons in this deck. For example, there's a version that uses 3 sideboard slots to play Omniscience as the first card. Then you get your Fae of Wishes back and cast Enter the Infinite. Then you have a whole bunch of cards in your hand, only 1 card in your deck, so then you use Jace Wielder of Mysteries to win the game. There are other versions of the deck that have been playing Approach of the Second Sun. You can just cast it twice and then you win the game. But I think that Debt to the Deathless is just a really clean way where once you have a lot of mana, you're going to win the game. There really aren't infinite life combos in Pioneer, so basically your opponent will always be at a life total where you can get enough mana to cast a big Debt to the Deathless and kill them. And finally, just look at this art. This is so metal. It's such a cool way to kill the opponent. For the rest of the supporting cast in the main deck, we have Arboreal Grazer as the primary way of ramping. Grazer is really good when you go turn 1 Grazer, into turn 2 Lotus Field, into turn 3 Thespian Stage, and turn 4 kill your opponent. Wolfwillow Haven is a pretty interesting one that I don't think many people are playing. This basically turbocharges all of your untappers. If you put this on a Lotus Field, then suddenly your Vizier of Tumbling Sands is a plus 2 mana, Pore over the Pages is plus 2 mana. Notably, those are doubling from plus 1. Hidden Strings goes from plus 4 mana to plus 5. So Wolfwillow Haven just makes it a lot easier to get to the 18 mana you need to kill the opponent. Then we have Uro. So Uro is just clearly a great card in general. The life gain is often really important against aggro decks. The ramping is really important for this deck, and the drawing cards is important to keep gas in your hand. Basically, every ability that Uro has is very relevant for the deck, and the only reason we're not playing more is that 3 mana is kind of a lot to be ramping. Also, Lotus Field on its own doesn't cast Uro because Lotus Field only makes 1 color of mana. And there's some contention with the graveyard between Uro and Dog Through Time. So while Uro is a great card, we don't actually want to have too many of him, which is why there's only 2 in the deck. Next, we have Sylvan Scrying, which is great for getting the land you're missing, usually either Lotus Field or Thespian stage, but in a pinch, it can also get a Blast Zone when you really need a removal spell. Strategic Planning as a cantrip that also fills the graveyard. And one of the cool new modal double-faced cards from Zendikar Rising, Bala Ged Recovery. So this can either be a tapped forest, or it can return a card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's a pretty flexible card, which is great. Notably, there are a lot of lands in this deck, basically Lotus Field and Sylvan Scrying, which is kind of a land, where you need to already have 2 lands on the battlefield, otherwise they don't do anything, right? If your hand is like Thespian Stage, Lotus Field, Sylvan Scrying, but no other lands, you can't actually do anything with that. So playing Bala Ged Sanctuary means that you'll get another land on the battlefield, and then you'll be able to play your Lotus Fields or your Sylvan Scryings, and basically continue. But when you have too many lands in your hand, you can get whatever the best card is in your graveyard and be able to cast it again. Whether that's getting a little bit of extra mana by getting Hidden Strings back, or drawing extra cards by getting a Pore of the Pages back. Overall, just a very flexible card, which is great. But one important thing to note is that Arboreal Grazer and Uro do not see the land side of this card, so those effects can't put Bala Ged Sanctuary onto the battlefield. Just something to keep in mind. We have another modal double-faced card in Seagate Restoration. Again, this is nice and flexible for when you have a bunch of mana, but you need something to do. You can spend 7 mana and draw a bunch of cards. And on the other hand, when you need some more mana, you can play a land. Next, we have Finale of Revelation, which is X blue to draw X cards. But if X is 10 or more, instead you shuffle your graveyard in your library, then draw X cards, then untap 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. So normally you want to be casting this when you're going off. You want to cast it for at least 12 mana, right? At least X10, so that you can untap your Lotus Fields and continue to go off. But when you don't have the critical mass to combo, you can easily cast this for 4 or 5 or 6 mana to, draw 2 or 3 or 4 cards and basically assemble that critical mass to combo the following turn. So it's a really nice flexible card. I like having one in the main deck and one in the sideboard. And finally, we have Dog Through Time. So Dog Through Time is A, extremely cute, and B, one of the best combo enablers in Pioneer. So it's 8 mana, but with Delve, meaning you can exile cards from your graveyard to pay the generic cost. Then you look at the top 7 cards of your library and put 2 of them in your hand. So it's card advantage. It always gets you 2 cards. And because it digs you so deep, you can often find whatever piece you're missing, whether that's a land or an untap effect or, drawing extra cards with Pore of the Pages or Finale of Revelation. So yeah, overall a great card. But again, there's some contention in the graveyard between Delve and Uro. So we don't want to be playing too many of this effect, which is why there's only 3 Dog Through Time here. I already briefly talked about the mana base. Definitely the most important pieces are Lotus Field and Thespian Stage. But we also have a bunch of the green and blue lands in Pioneer. So we've got Temple of Mystery, Yavimaya Coast, Botanical Sanctum, 1 Breeding Pool, 1 Forest, and 1 Blast Zone, again to turn Sylvan Scrying into a removal spell when you really need it to be. And then it's pretty interesting over in the sideboard, because almost every card is meant to be wished for with Fae of Wishes. The only card that you cannot wish for is Sphinx of the Final Word, which is just amazing against blue decks or basically any counterspell decks. It's 7 mana, 5/5 flying hexproof, can't be countered, and instants and sorceries you control can't be countered, which means you basically just get to go off after you resolve this. And you'll notice that our wish board is very rainbow. In fact, we have every color of spell in our wish board, and that's because some of the cards you only expect to cast after you have a Lotus Field on board, in which case you can make any color of mana. So Hour of Revelation is one such card. It's 6 mana, destroy all non-land permanents. This is really good for cleaning up when you don't have quite enough mana to go off, but your opponent has established a board state. We have Temporal Trespass, which is 11 mana, taking an extra turn, but it has Delve. So this is good for resetting your lands. Basically, when you've tried to go off, you have a whole bunch of lands on the battlefield, maybe from, Uro or Arboreal Grazer, but you couldn't quite kill the opponent. This is a good way to basically untap all your lands, get another draw step, and then try again. The fact that it has Delve means you can cast it for as little as 3 mana, but again, we have some contention with the graveyard, so it's not reliably going to be that cheap. We have another Finale of Revelation, really good for when you just need to draw more cards. Thought Distortion, very good against control decks. It's 6 mana, can't be countered. Opponent reveals their hand and then exiles all non-creature non-land cards from hand and graveyard. It doesn't technically take things like Torrential Gear Hulk, but it does mean that Torrential Gear Hulk isn't going to be countering your things. So when you have the spare mana lying around, this is a really good card to play against your control opponent. 2 Anger of the Gods. So this is the cheapest way to get stuff off the board at just 3 mana. And the reason there's 2 of them is I often like to board one in against decks where I would like to actually cast Anger of the Gods. That way I can either draw it naturally or draw a Fae of Wishes and then wish for one. So there's basically 4 copies of Anger of the Gods at that point. We have a Fog, which is great against aggressive decks like Boros Feather or Winota. Then we have 4 effects that destroy artifacts or enchantments, and these are really important to have because Damping Sphere and Alpine Moon will completely shut down this deck by shutting down Lotus Field. So Natural State is the cheapest way to do so. Destroys an artifact or enchantment with mana cost 3 or less for just 1 mana. Dissenter's Deliverance destroys artifacts for 2 mana and cycles for 1, and Wilt destroys artifacts or enchantments for 2 mana but cycles for 2. So I almost always bring in Dissenter's Deliverance and Wilt against most decks, just because any deck can play Damping Sphere, and it's so important to have an out to Damping Sphere. And it's a pretty low cost to bring in Wilt or Dissenter's Deliverance against most decks, because if you don't see a Damping Sphere, you can just cycle them. Next, we have Grafdigger's Cage, which is for graveyard decks and for Winota, the Eldritch Evolution / put cards on the battlefield from the library deck. And finally, we have Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So Ugin is a really important way to basically clean up if you've tried to go off but only been able to make 12 mana and not enough to actually kill the opponent with Debt to the Deathless. Again, 4 mana for Granted into the 8 mana for Ugin. Ugin's -X will basically remove all permanents with mana cost X or less that have any colors from the battlefield. So no matter what board state your opponent has, as long as they're not like playing artifacts or something, you'll be able to clean it up with Ugin. And then the fact that he sticks around and provides a threat means he basically closes out most games where he comes down. So if you know me and my love of extra turn spells, you might be thinking, well, Daniel, this deck isn't an extra turns deck. In fact, there's only 1 extra turns card. And you're right, this deck can only take up to 1 extra turn per game. And in fact, most games it won't take any extra turns. But, dear viewer, I have a question for you then. What is it about taking extra turns that's really just so great? Well, for me, it's the fact that it's a non-deterministic combo where you get to just, untap your lands over and over, draw a whole bunch of cards, and the entire time your opponent's just sitting there wondering if they're dead. This deck does exactly that in Pore Over the Pages, right? You draw some cards, you untap some of your lands, and with Arboreal Grazer and Uro, you can even just, play some extra lands. So while this deck doesn't literally take that many extra turns, with Pore Over the Pages, you can figuratively take a whole bunch of extra turns with this deck, and it's great. If you like these videos and you'd like to support me, you can use the link in the description down below to order the cards you're missing off of TCG Player. And with that, let's jump right into a Pioneer League. Okay, here we are for round 1. We've won the die roll. Our opponent looks like they have a companion. It's Yorion. And unfortunately, this hand only has 1 land in it. If it had 2, it would be great, because then we would play 2 lands, cast Sylvan Scrying for Lotus Field. Yeah, that's rough. If I knew there was a land on top, I would keep this hand, but it's too risky. Okay, here this hand is fine. We have a turn 1 land Arboreal Grazer for Temple of Mystery, turn 2 Thespian Stage, Uro, look for more stuff. Yeah, I'm going to keep this one, and I think I'm putting Seagate Recovery on the bottom. Seagate Recovery also just gets a lot worse when you're, vomiting out your hand with Arboreal Grazer and, when you've already mulliganed. I don't think we want this land. We're really looking to assemble our Lotus Field, not just get random lands into play. Hollowed Fountain from the opponent. Strategic planning. So we could plan strategically, or we could just cast Uro. I kind of like just casting Uro. I don't think it makes a huge difference, really. All right, unfortunate. Arboreal Grazer, not going to do much at this stage in the game. Interesting, Mountain from the opponent. Birth of Meletus. So I guess they're trying to just blink a whole bunch of enchantments with Yorion. I think they're also probably a Fires of Invention deck. But anyway. Let's see here. Man, this is rough. None of these cards are especially good. Kind of just want to take Vizier so that we'll be able to dig more for our Lotus Field, which is really what we need to get our combo going. By the way, I forgot to mention, I like having my sideboard open to think about Fae of Wishes, but it's not a huge deal. Maybe I should have just bottomed the Arboreal Grazer now that I'm thinking about it with that mulligan. Since the fact that we didn't have Lotus Field means it would have been nice to have another mana, like being able to cast Finale for X2 here, I think I would, but I don't want to cast it for X1. Instead, I think I'm just going to cycle Vizier. Just see if we can, draw Lotus Field or at least do something. This isn't really the something I was thinking of. Dig Through Time, we already have one in our hand, and we're also fighting with the graveyard with Uro. Uro we can't really cast since we're one card short. There's Omen of the Sea from the opponent. We're one card short, and we have blue, green, but Thespian Stage only taps for colorless right now because it hasn't copied anything. So I think I'd rather just cast Dig Through Time and look for Thespian Stage. Also, since I think the opponent is on Fires of Invention, I don't think they're going to have very many counterspells main deck, so I'm not going to be very afraid of counterspells. I'm probably just going to cast things into open mana, but anyway, here's a Teferi from the opponent. Bouncing their own Omen of the Sea, which is pretty cool. They're really getting tons of value. Anyway, like I said, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm just going to cast Dig Through Time, leaving Uro in the graveyard. Really, the only card opponent could have here is Mystical Dispute, which they don't. Oh boy. So if I get Temple plus Sylvan Scrying here, that guarantees that we'll be able to go cast Sylvan Scrying, play the Lotus Field, and then have 2 mana available to copy it with Thespian Stage, and then the following turn we'll be able to kind of go off with our Vizier and our Pore of the Pages. So I think I'm going to do that. And then even better, if we can just scry a Lotus Field to the top. Nope. So Fae of Wishes would be kind of a good fail-safe. If we, can't quite get anything, we theoretically could get an Ugin or something. But I don't think we actually need this right now, given that we have Finale Revelation as a kind of payoff. So I'm just gonna chill here. All right, opponent plussing to Teferi, and there's the Omen of the Sea again. They're probably looking for a land if they're casting it during their main phase. All right, and there's another Omen of the Sea. They had put 2 cards on the bottom with the first one, so I don't think they found their land. Oh, there they did. All right, we've drawn a Thespian Stage, which is not quite what we want right now. So I'll go ahead and just Sylvan Scry, grabbing a Lotus Field, and then let's see. We could play Grazer to put Lotus Field on the battlefield and then play Thespian Stage, and we'll get to copy one Thespian Stage, we'll get to copy a Lotus Field. Yeah, that sounds good enough to me. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this now in case the opponent has Field of Ruin. We don't want them to be targeting Thespian Stage after we put the ability on the stack. We just want it to be hexproof now. Okay, so now assuming the opponent doesn't kill us this turn, we'll probably try to go off, see what they do. Just in our hand, we're representing, or just on board plus our hand, we're representing 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. +1 for Pore of the Pages 10, +1 for Vizier is 11. So if we can get one more, Luca Coppercoat Outcast. All right, Agent of Treachery stealing our Thespian Stage. That's annoying. So we are down a mana now. Here's that Fae of Wishes. So I think first I'm gonna cycle Vizier, see what we draw. I want to cycle Vizier before casting Pore of the Pages. Because if we draw something that we want to discard to Pore, then I'd like to have it in hand. I don't think it really matters what mana we leave floating. Yeah. The way the graveyard keeps jumping out like that kind of annoys me. I don't think we're going to be casting this Uro right now. Let's cycle the Vizier, see what we find. All right, another Thespian stage. So we have 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. Playing Thespian stage is 12 mana. That's enough for Finale of Revelation, which opponent has 1 blue mana. So again, the only thing they could really have is Mystical Dispute. If they're playing main deck Mystical Dispute, they deserve to win this one. So. All right, untapping 5 lands, also known as all of them. So that does mean we, can't escape Uro now, but we have Uro in our hand. All right, so the opponent has given up, but the fact that we have all of these hidden strings means that they are actually just dead. So this is 6 mana here, and then plus 4, 10, 14, 18, which is enough for Granted into Debt to the Deathless to kill them. Man, this is kind of hard to say. It's a little bit of a tongue twister there. Debt to the death to the death, whatever. So playing against a Yorion Luca deck, I do think they sideboard into some amount of counterspells like Mystical Dispute. So I'm gonna bring in the Sphinx of the Final Word, and then cards like Thought Distortion I would rather have in the sideboard so that we can grab them with Fae of Wishes. So I think the only cards I'm going to bring in are Dissenter's Deliverance and Wilt. And then I don't think Grafdigger's Cage is good enough. All it really does is stop Luca from putting Agent of Treachery on the battlefield. And the only things we really have to steal are, I guess, Uro and Thespian Stage. So maybe we don't want to put an Uro on the board. That's good to know. And then I might be wrong about this, but I don't think this matchup is about going fast. So I'm going to take out some Arboreal Grazers, just leaving 1. Arboreal Grazer is really good when it can block and when you need to, combo off as fast as you can against like an aggro deck. But I think we have more time against a Yorion deck, so I think this is going to be fine. We just want cards that are more impactful. All right, here we are for game 2. This hand is really close to being good. We basically need a Lotus Field in order for this hand to be good, and we have a strategic planning to look for either a Sylvan Scrying or a Lotus Field. So I think I'm going to keep it. Certainly not an amazing hand. Opponent has Mold so far to 6. They're on 6. Ooh, Ketria Triumph. Neat. All right, there's another strategic planning. Tapped Hollowed Fountain for the opponent. I'll just go ahead and play the Botanical Sanctum so that we can cast Strategic Planning without taking damage. I don't think the damage is really going to matter. Opponent's probably thinking about Mystical Dispute or not. I mean, Hidden Strings would be nice, but we really just want to dig towards Lotus Field, so I think I'm just going to take Uro. Yeah. Actually, we might want to cast Strategic Planning next turn anyway, but getting more lands on the battlefield with Uro is kind of nice. All right, there's Teferi Time Raveler from the opponent. They plussed. All right, there we go. There is our Sylvan Scrying. And our Lotus Field, and I'll just go ahead and play it. Boom. Man, opponent has 4 permanents and we only have 1. We're so losing. All right, Omen of the Sea from the opponent. This is interesting. This is turn 4. They did just play their land, so I don't know why they're doing this at sorcery speed. Oh, they're probably going to bounce it with Teferi. All right, 2 on top, so that could be scary. Yeah, the opponent might have a counterspell here. So one thing we could do is we could just play the Thespian stage and then copy the Lotus Field. That's like a pretty safe play to make. Another thing we could do is play a land, cast Uro. If the opponent has like a Dovin's Veto or something, they won't be able to hit Uro. And then Uro gets to play Thespian stage, then we play... Oh wait, no, we've already played the Yav Coast at that point. I thought we would be able to copy Lotus Fields with Thespian stage, but I guess not at that point. I do kind of like playing Uro though, just so that if the opponent interacts, then they won't have that Omen of the Sea. And I think we're not in a huge rush. Yeah, I think we're not in a huge rush. Aether Gust, huh? That's an interesting one. So I might actually just bottom Uro at this point. Since I think we're just looking for more combo-y cards. And Uro is not exactly where we want to be right now. Plus, we might eat the graveyard with Dig Through Time, so Uro's got some competition, basically. Alright, opponent pluses to Fairy. And Fires of Invention. So they are a Fires deck, which... Oh yeah, I forgot to take a look here. Which I suspected, but is now confirmed. And what's their next spell? Luca. Okay, so they can steal our stuff. I don't actually know what this does. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. Creature cards exiled this way again. You may cast this card from exile as long as you control a Luca Planeswalker. Let's see what they hit. No creatures. Okay. So one thing to note now is it is important to copy Lotus Field the same turn that we play Thespian stage. I think what I want to do is see if we're going to go off by using well, hold on. Basically, I want to see what kinds of cards we're going to get with Dig Through Time. And then I guess if we exile the whole graveyard, we'll have 2 mana left. So we can either just copy Thespian stage if we don't find anything, or we can use Hidden Strings if we do find something. Yeah, all right. All right, and nothing great here. Could get Pore Over the Pages and Wilt, and then Wilt their Fires of Invention. But I feel like at this point I should probably just use the Thespian stage and copy the Lotus Field. If Luca steals our Yavimaya Coast, it's not a huge deal. So I think I'm going to go Pore plus Wilt. And I don't think that order matters. And let's copy the Lotus Field. All right, well, we're pretty set up to go off next turn, assuming we draw something good between these Pores and this Vizier and this Wilt. But opponent does get 2 great spells, and one cool thing they can do is they can put Yorion in their hand and then exile Fires of Invention, and then they still get another spell after that. But it looks like their first spell is Omen of the Sea, 2 cards on top, which is pretty scary. And Narset. Oh, that's a huge problem. All right, they've bounced Fires of Invention with Teferi. Omen of the Sun. All right, here's an Agent of Treachery stealing our Yavimaya Coast. So that Narset is a huge, huge problem. So what are we going to do about it? Man, opponent even has 2 mana up after bouncing the Fires, which indicates to me they probably have a counterspell. This is just all kinds of bad. So what I want to do is I want to play Blast Zone, spend 4 mana to pump it up to 3 counters, and then use Hidden Strings to untap Blast Zone and Lotus Field. But because I think the opponent has a counterspell right now, that won't work. Right, the Hidden Strings is going to get countered. So what can we do instead? I guess we can cast Strategic Planning, which technically isn't a draw, so it gets past Narset's ability. Dig Through Time also technically not a draw. So I think I'll take Dig. We have 4 cards in the graveyard. So I think I'm going to play a Temple of Mystery. I'm going to let the opponent steal it if they want to. Then on the opponent's turn, we can cycle Vizier of Tumbling Sands to get +1 mana and 1 more card in the graveyard, and then cast Dig Through Time. We'll also draw our 1 card from Narset. Yeah, I think that's the play. We don't want another land. And we will lose a mana, that's fine. Yeah, really didn't think about Narset. That really ruins our day. Okay, opponent uses Narset and they find second Narset. Classic. All right, there's Teferi. So if we want to cast Dig Through Time, we got to do it now. And I want to cast Dig Through Time, so I'm going to do it now. All right, so here's our 1 draw for Narset. And 4 mana on Dig Through Time. I don't think we're actually going to escape Uro because of this Luca, so we really want to keep whatever spell we most want to get back with Bala Ged Recovery, which I think is Vizier. Crazy as that is. They might just counter this too, which would be actually kind of nice for us. There's some good stuff here. I think we want Sphinx of the Final Word, and I think we want Hidden Strings. Let's see, or we can get Fae of Wishes. Sphinx plus Fae of Wishes is actually also very good. Yeah, Seagate Restoration, not good with Narset. But if we get Fae of Wishes, then we would be able to eventually cast Hour of Revelation, which is pretty great, or Ugin. Yeah, I think Sphinx plus Fae makes sense. All right, opponent's bouncing Oman of the Sun. We're taking 3. And I wonder if they're going to steal our land. Looks like they are. So I guess one thing that's kind of rough is if we want to play Sphinx of the Final Word, opponent can steal our Blast Zone, which is actually really problematic because then they'll be able to steal Sphinx. So alternatives. I guess we actually let them do that, and then probably we'll just get like... Oh shoot, Our Revelation is also going to kill Sphinx. What do we get? What do we get? What do we get then? I guess one other option is we could play Pore of the Pages as a literal +1 mana discard a card. That seems really bad. We could also play Hidden Strings to add mana, but again, that seems quite bad. I guess Wilt isn't really doing that much right now, so we could just discard Wilt. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Let's, don't try this at home, people. Or maybe do. All right. I think I'm not going to use Bala Ged Recovery. I think I'm not going to play the land this turn because opponent's just going to get to steal it with Luca, and that's no bueno. Oh, what's this? Oman of the Sun. Okay. And we will pass the turn. Opponent has revealed Mystical Dispute, which right now isn't doing too much. All right, there's another Narset. And this one reveals Oman of the Sea. Yep, Blessing Teferi. Oman of the Sea. Wonder what they're looking for at sorcery speed again. Maybe another planeswalker or something. Let's see. One bottom, one top. Sacred Foundry tapped. Cycling a land. Exiling the top 3. Bunch of Shark Typhoons. Okay, step 1 is attack and kill Narset. Also running a little bit low on time, so gonna try playing a little bit faster. All right, Narset down. Step 2 is let's try to go off. Untap some lands, get rid of a land. Try that again. Hopefully draw some better cards this time. Let's see. So we have 3, 6, 9, plus 4, I'm really bad at math, plus 4, 13, plus 4, 17. Darn. And Agent of Treachery is CMC 7, and so is Sphinx of the Final Word. So if we Ugin and clear a whole bunch of stuff, it's not quite good enough. Let's see. So we can Bala Ged Recovery. Recover something. Maybe we need to recover a Pore over the pages. Try to dig more. Or a dig through time to try to dig more. Yeah, it's close. I think I'm going to take Pore over the pages. It's definitely close, though. Ugh. Maybe I should take and dig. So let's see here. We put a Wolfwillow Haven on something, so that's 1. Would have 6 mana after that. And then, oh man, did I forget to count the land drop? Anyway, we have a land drop, which is great. Totally forgot about that. So 6 mana, and then each hidden strings becomes plus 5. So 6 plus 5, 11 plus 5, 16. So we can Fae of Wishes into Finale Revelation. I think that's what it's got to be. So yeah, got to play a little faster. All right, grabbing Finale of Revelation. Let's Revelate. Just gonna go all the mana. Okay. Just trying to take game actions here because we're at less than 5 minutes, so. At some point, I'll stop to figure out when we can Fae of Wishes for lethal, which I think is going to be soon. Just have so many things here. Yeah, this feels like a lot of mana, so I think oh, there's even a Wolfwillow Haven. Let's just go ahead and do that. Totally missed the Wolfwillow Haven too. There's just so many cards in our hand. Okay, this is looking like oodles and oodles of mana. This is like almost 20. Yeah, that sounds lethal to me. No cipher. Here's granted. Yep, we'll get that debt to the Deathless. And our opponent owes a very, very large debt. Sure, X17, why not? Cool, I will see you for the next match. Okay, here we are for match 2. We've won the die roll. Our opponent looks like they have a companion again, but this time they're at 60 cards, so it's Lurrus. So Lurrus decks tend to be aggressive. So this hand looks like a 1-lander, but it's actually a 2-lander, but we can't cast any of our blue spells with these 2 lands, so it's gotta go. Yeah, this one I think is a keeper. Obviously it's not great, but all you really need is a Lotus Field to make things excellent. Okay, let's lead with the Temple of Mystery. Ooh, Sylvan Scrying, that counts. So next turn we're going to go Botanical Sanctum, Sylvan Scrying for Lotus Field, and then the following turn we're going to go Wolfwillow Haven on the Lotus Field. Ooh, or maybe we're not. Thoughtseize from the opponent, and let's see what they take. I think it's probably going to be... Oh, I was going to say it's probably going to be Dig Through Time, but I don't know. All right. Well, in that case, next turn, let's try to draw something that we can play, but if not, that's fine. If not, next turn will just be Lotus Field, sacrificing our 2 lands, then the following turn is going to be Thespian Stage. All right, Mountain and, Dreadhorde Arcanist from the opponent. That's rough. So they're probably going to take our Dig Through Time. Yeah, poor doggo. Not gonna get to do anything. I guess if we draw anything cool, we'll at least be able to hidden strings and, have a bunch of mana for stuff, but that involves drawing something. All right, opponent coming in with the Dreadhorde Arcanist. Here comes the Thoughtseize. Yeah, and there goes Dog Through Time. Ooh, that's a neat one. Aghadeem's Awakening. Oh man, opponent with just all of the Thoughtseizes. And Scourge of the Skyclaves, huh? Okay, so we can either strategic planning, or we can just play Thespian Stage and copy. So what good does strategic planning do? If we get Uro, we can't actually play Uro. So I think we need to Thespian Stage, which sucks. Man, opponent with the 2 Thoughtseizes and the Dreadhorde Arcanist took 4 cards out of our hand plus the mulligan. That is rough. Right, there's a Crash Through. I wonder if they're just going to Crash Through, actually, then. There's a Swift Spear. Because they know we've only drawn 1 card, and they know the other card in our hand is a land, so they don't even guaranteed have a hit on this Thoughtseize. And they're going to Thoughtseize anyway. All right, so what we want is an Uro off the top. Uro, nope, Fae of Wishes. Scourge is currently a 5/5, that's rough. So options. We can wish for Anger of the Gods and then hit Swift Spear and Dreadhorde Arcanist. We can wish for Hour of Revelation and then cast it the following turn. Or we can wish for Ugin and then only be able to cast it if we draw an untapped land. It's tough. I think I'm going to wish for Hour of Revelation just so that we have the guaranteed ability to cast it. Whatever, it doesn't make a huge difference here. Actually, I think... Yeah, whatever, it doesn't make a difference. I was thinking about whether or not I should cast the Fae of Wishes. It would basically block a little bit of damage, but since we're just going to cast this Hour of Revelation next turn anyway, I don't think that's what we want to do. Actually, I forgot the opponent was a Lurrus deck, so destroying creatures is not actually good enough. Maybe we did want Ugin. Yeah, this was a tough one. I think maybe Hour of Revelation was a mistake. Right. Opponent coming in. Dreadhorde Arcanist casting Crash through. We're taking a big hit here of, let's see, 8 damage down to 7. Scourge of the Skyclaves is now gigantic. Yeah, Lurrus in hand. Yeah, I'm thinking not getting Ugin was a mistake here. Yeah, and we would have been able to cast it. Well, we need to cast Hour now. Whoops. I need to get white mana for that, don't I? And then I think I'm going to leave this in hand so that next turn we can cast Fae of Wishes and then bring it back to our hand. I guess I should put this over here so it's actually visible. Yeah, so there's Lurrus and then probably Scourge of the Skyclaves. Opponent needs to tap correctly for that. Oh, Swift Spear. Interesting. Soulscar Mage. Interesting. Guess they're just gonna try to kill us with as much stuff as possible. Makes sense. Right, opponent comes in for 1. We're at 6. Uro. I mean, that sounds good to me. Let's see. I think I'm probably just gonna cast and cast an escape Uro. I think that'll be better than, you know, trying to do something else. So I'm gonna make sure that we tap such that we're able to do that without taking any damage. Yeah, I'll play the land. Doesn't make a huge difference what we get rid of. Sure. So I could take 3 to play Fae of Wishes here and then have another blocker. Yeah, I think I like that. Oh man, that's a lot of mana. Probably casting the other side of this thing if I had to guess. Or what are they doing? Return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creatures that each have different converted mana cost X or less. So they'd actually only be able to get 1 of these, which isn't even that good since they can already do that with Lurrus. Little confused. All right, there's a Soulscar Mage. There's Scourge of the Skyclaves. No attacks from the opponent. So one interesting thing is if we attack with Uro here and they block with Scourge, well, first of all, we're going to gain 3 life. Then Scourge is going to become an 8/8. If they block with Scourge, it'll have 6 damage on it as an 8/8, which means we can then wish for Anger of the Gods and wipe our opponent's whole board. So let's see if they take the bait. Do I attack with Fae of Wishes to make them block? I don't think so. Oh, wait a second. Does the opponent have little enough life that we can... All right, well, I think this does it regardless. So we have 6, 7, 8, 9 mana plus 4, 13. So we'll put in 9 mana into Debt for the Deathless. All right. Sure, whatever. That would be good if I wasn't trying to win the game right here and now. All right. Yeah, I didn't realize the opponent was at such a low life total, which really helps for killing them with this. Let's see. So X5. Yeah, so we couldn't actually have done X very much in the absence of that hidden strings, but I think it was still a good attack. Okay, so Lurrus. So Anger of the Gods is pretty good. Then I'm going to bring in Wilt and Dissenter's Deliverance. Fog is maybe good, but the opponent has Thoughtseize, and Thoughtseize just makes Fog a lot worse. So I don't think I'm going to bring that in. And then I think we can take out one Dog Through Time, one Strategic Planning, and one Wolfwillow Haven. Just kind of trim along the edges of some of our slower spells. So, we'll still have our blocker in Arboreal Grazer. We still can gain life with Uro. Let's try it like that. Okay, here we are for game number 2. We are going second. This hand is not amazing, but our opponent is on a Thoughtseize deck, so I'm going to keep it on the back of Temple of Mystery, Scrying into a Lotus Field, or Strategic Planning into a Lotus Field. That'll get us, 4 looks worth of maybe Lotus Field. So, all right, there's a Swift Spear. Right, we draw Vizier, Tumbling Sands. Forest is not Lotus Field. All right, Wild Slashing our face. Oh man, opponent's getting real aggro. They only have 1 land. Oh, there's a Sylvan Scrying. That's pretty good. I think I'm just going to Sylvan Scrying now before the opponent draws a black source and Thoughtseizes us. But we don't actually want to play this Lotus Field if we can help it. Specifically because we don't want to sacrifice this Thespian stage, right? We'd rather sacrifice some other different land. Okay, opponent is crashing through, drawn a card, please no land. Looks like no land. Well, we're taking 2 down to 13, so we are slowly bleeding out. But I think let's just, let's cast this Strategic Planning and look for a land. And then if we don't find a land, we will play, cool. So here's a land. So, oh, this is actually a nice one because now we get to go to 12, but we have a blocker and we're putting our Lotus Field on board. That is nice. Good work, Arboreal Grazer. Alpine Moon. Well, that sucks. So we need to get a green source in order for this. Oh, we have a green source. Okay. Dissenter's Deliverance doesn't do it. Yeah, I think we're just gonna pass the turn then. So now Lotus Field taps for any color because of the Alpine Moon, which is really nice. I was thinking of Damping Sphere, where this would tap for colorless. Anyway, opponent found their black source. They're casting Scourge of Skyclaves. It's currently a 3/3. All right, so let's get rid of that, and let's see what we can do. Wolfwillow Haven. Well, unfortunately, we can't really do multiple things. Basically, if we cycle this Vizier and we draw something good, then maybe we could do multiple stuff. But doesn't look like it right now, so I think I'm just going to cast Anger of the Gods and hope the opponent doesn't have another Alpine Moon. If they do, we are in a heap of trouble. Duress. That's fine. There goes the Wolfwillow Haven, opponent taking 2, and there's a Dreadhorde Arcanist. Okay, so Dreadhorde is not good for us because they'll be able to duress us again, or crash through, or Wild Slash, or whatever. So, can we cast and escape Uro with what we have? I don't think so, right? So we Vizier with Lotus Field and Thespian Stage, and then we have blue floating, Lotus Field untapped, Thespian Stage tapped. We make green, so that's 5 mana. Sorry, green, so that's 5 mana. Yeah. All right, so let's just cycle the Vizier and see what we find. So let's see, we have several options now. This could be a small finale kind of time, and I think it is. Let's see. So this would get us 5 mana. Yeah, finale X3, just draw 3 cards. We would go to 7 cards in hand. Yeah, I think we can deal with what the opponent has if we stock up. Let's see. And we need lands, so I'll just go ahead and play this. All right, so that's not the best thing ever, but you know, this is looking okay. Cling to Dust on Anger of the Gods. All right. I wonder if they're gonna get clingy again or if they're gonna duress us. They're duressing us. Looks like Dissenter's Deliverance is the only option. So one thing that's kind of cool is we can Vizier for +1 mana. So we'll have 1 and then 2, 5, 6, 7 mana, which is enough for Fae of Wishes into Anger of the Gods. And I think I like that play. And I guess it also lets us make a decision based on what we draw. Pore over the pages, huh? We only have 1 Lotus Field on board, and it does not look like we'll have enough mana to copy. Yeah, we're 1 short of copy plus Pore over the pages. So I think I'm just gonna grab that Anger of the Gods, get rid of our opponent's board, and try to beat them with what we have after that. It's always really scary when stuff moves around like that in the sideboard. You really got to be careful that you click the right thing. Next turn might just be a double copy turn, and then duress for our Pore over the pages. All right, Lurrus in hand. If we can put Uro on the battlefield, I think I'd like to. So let's see. Actually, what's the opponent going to cast? Oh, they're going to cast Alpine Moon. That's really scary. So we do need to do things this turn. Let's see here. Vizier, untap. We have blue floating. And then we go blue, green, 1. Have blue floating. Oh man, we're so close. All right, so I think I need to temple. Look for, nope, we need to look for an untapped source. That's not it. So cycle. We need as much colored mana as possible. That's not it. Yeah, we need an untapped blue source off of this draw. Ah, dang it. All right, well, we will at least be able to escape Uro if they don't cling to dust. So this is, we at least put the opponent in a bind where, you know, either they have, oh, okay, or maybe they have another cling to dust in hand. Well, that sucks. All right, there's Lurrus. If they have land Alpine Moon, then we're, okay, it was a tapped land. Ooh, Sylvan Scrying. Oh no, our Blast Zone's already in the graveyard. Shoot, I was going to say we can Sylvan Scry for Blast Zone, but it looks like that's not going to happen. So what do we look for then? Fae of Wishes, discard Scrying in our Arboreal Grazer. Let's see, so that's 2 mana and then 4 for the Wish. So we're not really going to be able to do anything this turn. Guess we could get a Grafdigger's Cage, which is not so bad. Yeah, and I think I'm actually going to leave the land in hand. So I guess first I'll attack. I'm going to leave the land in hand so that we can bring back Fae of Wishes again. So the plan is to basically to just cast our Grafdigger's Cage so that the opponent can't be cast in Alpine Moon. Well, I guess actually, is there anything else we can get? We could get Thought Distortion, but I think I'd rather just have Grafdigger's Cage. Could also get Natural State, but again, I think I would rather have Grafdigger's Cage on board. I don't think the opponent's going to be able to deal with it. And then this also allows us to get more mana for next... Oh, or we can just cast the Fae of Wishes. No, I think I'd rather have more mana. Just in case we draw something good. All right, does this count as something good? I think this is Fae of Wishes for Ugin. Let's see. Yeah, we have enough mana for that, so let's do it. And then, given that we have this Grafdigger's Cage on board, I'm comfortable with just plussing to kill Lurrus rather than minusing. And the opponent has given up. I'll see you for the next match. All right, here we are for match number 3. We've won the die roll. So in a non-combo deck, a hand with lands and spells looks pretty great, but because we have neither Thespian Stage nor Lotus Field, we actually can't keep that one. This one's much better. Sylvan Scrying for the missing piece. So even though this is actually an all-land hand, this is actually where we want to be, because as soon as we draw the smallest amount of gas, maybe a Finale Revelation, maybe Seagate Restoration or something, then we can really go off. Or like, Pore over the Pages. We have a lot of good draws, basically. Uro would be another nice one. We are keeping this one. Opponent has also mulled to 6. All right, opponent has mulled to 5 now. All right, let's see what the opponent's on. They do not have a companion, unlike our first 2 opponents. Bala Ged Sanctuary. They might be on our deck. All right, well, let's see what happens. I guess we're getting Thespian Stage. Next turn, we can Wolfwillow Haven on the Lotus Field, and the following turn, we can Thespian Stage, copy Lotus Field. Notably, because Lotus Field has hexproof, your opponent cannot copy your own Lotus Fields with their Thespian Stage. Likewise, our Thespian Stage would not be able to copy the opponent's Lotus Fields. Yeah, the opponent does look like they're on this deck. Sylvan Scrying, yeah. All right, here's a Lotus Field. Sacking 2 lands. I forgot to check what the opponent got, but it's almost certainly either a Lotus Field or a Thespian Stage. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's Lotus Field. So the opponent might be able to kill us next turn, but it's pretty unlikely, given that they mulled twice, so they're on fewer resources. We actually can't quite kill them because our hand's really bad, although our opponent is convinced that they're dead. And we don't really have enough lands in the graveyard to make good use of this dig through time right now. And I would rather just use Thespian Stage to copy and then go for the win next turn, given that I don't think we're going to die. Do I get a Thespian Stage or do I get something else? I think I get a Thespian Stage. Not 100% sure though. It's possible that I should have gotten a Lotus Field there specifically so that we can put more cards in the graveyard for dig through time. But yeah. All right. Let's see what they're doing. All right. So, oh, and there's an Arboreal Grazer also. All right. So now it's do or die time. So gotta find something good with this. Hello? There we go. Hidden Strings, Pore over the Pages, not only the best cards here, but also exactly what we want to do. So I think I'm going to play the Temple of Mystery just because it's so important. It's going to be so important for us to draw a good card that putting that useless card to the bottom is really important. Right. doesn't really matter what we discard here. Let's see, so we have 3, 6, 9, 10 mana plus 2, 12. Oops. Let's tap this first. So let's see, 7, 10, 14. Not enough for straight up killing the opponent. I think let's... Wait, let me double check. 7, 10, 14. Yeah, so we also can't Finale Revelation X10. It would only be X8. So I think let's dig through time, getting rid of our graveyard, looking for something good. And if we don't find anything, oof. So I think it's these two. Yeah, what I was going to say is if we don't find anything, we get to Thought Distortion our opponent and just hope that they don't draw anything. Fae of Wishes, Pore of the page. Oh no, they have Fae of Wishes. That's really bad. Oh shoot, I mistapped also. I meant to have a blue floating so that we could cast Fae of Wishes. Whoops. Oh well. So I think next turn, I want to cast Seagate Restoration, assuming that we don't draw something excellent. Cast Seagate Restoration and then figure it out from there. There's the Thespian stage from our opponent. And they're not casting Fae of Wishes. Interesting. Hidden Strings. Okay, this will allow us to cast Seagate Restoration, and then after we draw 5 cards, we'll be able to go Thespian stage and then use Hidden Strings to untap these for 7. So that seems pretty good. Oh, don't play the land first. Do this first. Still getting used to this card. We want to cast this one. Yeah. Kind of sad about forgetting to tap correctly for the Fae of Wishes, but that's fine. What can you do? All right, let's see if we can go off now. So untap, yes, yes, no cipher. And then we're going to play the Wolfwillow Haven since this breaks even once you untap it the first time. We have 2 untap effects in our hand, so probably should have left a blue mana floating. I keep making that mistake. Whatever. Let's see here. I think we want to look for more cards, so let's go digging. There we go. Yeah, I should probably be using up the green mana given that every tap of this Lotus Field gives us 2 green mana, so let's see here. I think we need another one of these. We have 2 plus 8. We have 10 mana. All right, let's get a big Finale of Restoration. And actually, I think Bala Ged Recovery for Hidden Strings is actually mana positive. Given that this is going to be spend 5 mana, get 8 mana, so let's do that. And even if the opponent somehow removes that from the graveyard, we still have 12 mana for a, whatchamacallit, for a X10 Finale of Revelation. And I think it's actually free to cast Arboreal Grazer, get a 5th land into play, and then untap it with Finale, so let's go ahead and do that. Big Finale. All right, we have 20 cards left in the library, so we're not likely to deck. Now we're just looking for Hidden Strings and stuff. Right, so we got an Hidden Strings, 2 Hidden Strings. Doesn't really matter what we discard at this point. Just got to go through the motions. The opponent is very dead. Yeah, we have boatloads of mana. Yeah, one issue that I have with this deck is I'm just so bad at doing math that I can't really tell when we've already won the game, but that is right now. I guess technically I could have used Thought Distortion first, but it's too late now because we don't have the colors, but whatever. All right, mirror match. I actually don't know what to do for this mirror match. I don't think this deck usually plays counter spells. I'm playing exactly 0, so I don't think Sphinx of the Final Word is good. And then cards that are good, like Thought Distortion, I'm pretty sure we want to keep in the sideboard. Can't imagine the opponent is playing like Alpine Moon or anything. I don't think we want any of this stuff. Fog isn't good. Anger isn't good. We definitely want to keep that in the sideboard. Ugin, conceivably, we could bring in Ugin as another win condition if the opponent casts a Slaughter Games or Unmoored Ego on Fae of Wishes. Because right now, we would have a lot of trouble. We would need to Uro in order to actually kill them. I just want to run our game 1 deck. Let's try it like this. Right. This hand looks pretty good. We could go for a Lotus Field, but we have turn 1 Grazer into turn 2, look for the Lotus Field, so that's a keeper. All right, unfortunately, not a Lotus Field. I think the opponent might be chatting. Right, Temple of Mystery, see what we find. Sylvan Scrying, that is good enough. So we're going to get to go next turn, Sylvan Scrying for Lotus Field, play the Lotus Field. The following turn, Thespian Stage, copy it, and then the following turn try to go off. Let's see what the opponent's doing. Opponent is also scrying Sylvanly. Almost certainly getting, I was going to say almost certainly getting a Lotus Field, but there's a Thespian Stage. Right, well, here's our Lotus Field. Again, the opponent cannot copy it because it's hexproof, and this effect targets. So opponent's going to need to play their own Lotus Field in order to copy, and if they do that, then they... right now, if they play a Lotus Field, obviously they're going to lose their Thespian Stage because they need to sacrifice 2 lands, so... Right, there's their Lotus Field. Oh boy, are they going to try to go off on a single land? That is really hard to do. I might as well F6, there's nothing we can do. Oh, they're playing a Vizier. Oh my goodness. That might get them enough mana to kill us. That's just such an unusual play. Okay, what can we do about that? There's really not a lot because we don't have the second Lotus Field on board, right? We can't cast Pore over the pages at all. If we strategic plan into anything, we'll only have 1 mana floating and we can't copy with Thespian Stage. Finale X2 is just not good. There's just not really anything we can do. I don't think the opponent is going to be able to interact with our Thespian Stage, so I'll leave it up pretending we have a counterspell or something. But if the opponent has the ability to kill us, then we're dead, so... Like, the other thing is this isn't a very good bluff, because if the opponent thinks we have a counterspell, they kind of have to go for it regardless, since it looks like we're about to win the game. Strategic planning, okay. We like cards that aren't hidden strings. The fact that our opponent put 2 lands in the graveyard is a sign that maybe their third card was weak as well. All right, this could get ugly. Thespian stage copy. No hidden strings, please. Please, no hidden strings. No! Alright, opponent might have the turn 4 kill here. Whereas I think we would have had the turn 4 kill on the draw, maybe? Pore over the pages. Oh yeah, I think at some point soon I should stop pretending that we have interaction so I can just F6. Playing Magic Online optimally is just too much work, so. Alright, please fizzle, please fizzle. Bala Ged Recovery. Oh no. Okay, Arboreal Grazer. Alright. Another Thespian stage, another Grazer. Wow. Okay, they only have 2 cards in hand, so their last card in hand is Pore over the pages. So we gotta go off right now, or we are insanely dead. That's not gonna help. Alright, we need some good cards here. Show us the money. Alright. More good cards, please. Keep the good cards flowing. This is a situation where we might actually need the mana, so just playing the Temple of Mystery isn't as clear-cut as that other previous decision from the other time. Let's see, so we have 2, 5, 8, 9, 10 mana. I think I'll cast Strategic Planning and see what we can find. Oh man, that is not good. Right. So we at least break even with the Wolfwillow Haven in terms of mana spent, because we get +1 mana the first time we untap it, and then +1 mana there. Oh no, no, no. This is not good. So we need to save 2 mana because our only out is going to be drawing hidden strings. So I'll play a land, tap it for mana, save 2 mana for a hidden strings that we absolutely need to draw, or a Vizier. We get to draw 4 cards. No! Pore over the pages! Oh, I should have saved a green mana for this Arboreal Grazer. Shoot. Whatever. I guess we strategically planned then. Alright, well, we need the opponent to fizzle. Alright, well, the opponent has 1 billion mana, I think, so if they hit basically anything off of this Pore over the pages, we're pretty dead. Well, that's not it. Opponent has 2 cards in hand. Bala Ged Recovery on, what was it I missed? Pore over the pages. Okay. Oh, that's rough. Oh, that's rough. Really need the opponent to just stop casting spells at some point. Oh no, Dig Through Time. Dig Through Time almost always gets you great stuff, and the opponent also has tons of mana left still. 1 floating, plus a pseudo 3 on the Vizier, plus 4 more. So let's see, that's 5. That's 8 mana still. We need the opponent to get really unlucky, basically. But if they do, then we are extremely likely to win, given how stacked these 4 cards are. Given how long they took to think about that, okay, I was going to say there's a chance, but getting to Pore over the pages this many times is just so good. It's just so good. The Pore over the pages just chains into Pore over the pages. It's positive mana. Opponent has 6 cards in hand now from 2. They had 2 earlier this turn. Okay, hidden strings, tons of mana for the opponent. Vizier getting 11 mana. Casting granted. Omniscience. All right. At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they can't lose, but I guess we'll see. We'll make them play it out. Granted, for Enter the Infinite, we'll do it. Oh, Approach of the Second Sun. Okay. Second Sun, Dig Through Time. All right, they got it. Okay, well, I think I'm going to keep this configuration. I don't think there's a point in playing Wilt in... Maybe there is a point in playing Wilt. Maybe there's a chance that Wilt on Omniscience will actually do something. Given that this has cycling, I think I'm willing to try it, but what comes out? Let's see, Strategic Planning, Wolfwillow Haven. I think I'm okay with a Wolfwillow Haven coming out. Really not sure about this, but we'll see. All right, here's game 3. We are going first. No monkey, but we've got the field and the stage, so I think we got to keep it and hope. By monkey, I mean beast. I think Arboreal Grazer is actually a beast for whatever reason. But if we Temple of Mystery into Arboreal Grazer, I think we keep it on top so that next turn we would go land into Grazer into Lotus Field. It basically would accelerate us by a turn. All right, opponent has mulled once, twice, 3 times. All right, Temple of Mystery, see what we scry. Land, no thank you. All right, opponent has an Arboreal Grazer. They've got 2 cards in hand. All right, we've drawn Sylvan Scrying, so I don't think Blast Zone's going to do anything, so I think I would rather sacrifice... Blast Zone does always come in untapped, whereas Botanical Sanctum does not. Yeah, I think I would rather sacrifice the Botanical Sanctum. All right, so let's just get another Thespian stage. Already played a land this turn, right? So much thinking about playing a monkey, I was thinking I could play the Lotus Field this turn. Yeah, it looks like a monkey, but it is a beast. Strategic planning for the opponent. Oh, they've got a Lotus Field. I mean, they're in pretty good shape. We are not going to untap anything. So there's no point in floating that mana. We're not going to do anything with it. I mean, they might have it. That's kind of brutal. Opponent molds 3 times and the cheeky attack. Opponent mold 3 times and is kind of assembling it. All right, let's see what we can do. So if we hidden strings the Thespian stage, well, we're going to play the Thespian stage no matter what. If we hidden strings to untap Thespian stage and Lotus Field, that's only going to be +2 mana. So right now we have 4, we'd go up to 6. So we would be able to Pore over the pages, but Pore is currently -1 mana. Let's see, can we wish for anything? There's really nothing that good to wish for. Wishing for Temporal Trespass is not going to be all that powerful. Given that we're going to have, what, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards in the graveyard, it would take 5 to cast Temporal Trespass. Yeah, we would need to draw 3 insane cards off Pore over the pages, and I think that's asking too much and using up too many resources. So I think we're going to try to make the opponent have it on turn 4 on the draw, on the mull to whatever it was. Yeah, we're gonna make them try to have it, or try to make them have it. Okay, Sylvan Scrying. There's a Thespian stage playing a Temple of Mystery. All right, they only have 2 cards in hand, so I think they're not going off. All right. The cheeky attack once again. All right, so now we try to go off, but this could very easily be a fizzle. Dig Through Time will help. All right, let's start by using Pore over the pages and seeing what we can find. Okay, cycle Vizier, see what we can find. Nice. Gotta love Pore of the Pages. I don't think we need an Arboreal Grazer. Okay, so we have 4, 10. We play land 11 plus 4. We are 1 short of wishing for Finale X10. So I think let's go digging through time. Oh, shoot. Did not tap correctly there. So 2 there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure. 6. Right. Hidden Strings and Vizier sounds great. I don't think that order matters. Go ahead and cycle here. All right. So we are at 3, 6, 9, plus 4, 13, plus 4, 17, 18. Which that sounds like opponent's at 20. That is exactly enough for 4 mana into 14 mana for to the Deathless. So let's double check these numbers. 3, 6, 9, plus 4, 13, plus 4, 17, 18. 18 minus 4 is 14. 14 mana into to the Deathless is lethal. Cool. Guess let's do this first. I guess let's double check the amount of mana we have. This is 14, 18. Yep. Bam. The exacties. All right, I'll see you for the next match. Okay, here we are for match number 4. We have lost the die roll. This hand looks fine, though. We get to Sylvan Scry into a Lotus thing, Evolving Wilds from the opponent. Sylvan Scrying into a Lotus Field, and yeah, all that good stuff. Interesting. Evolving Wilds into Forest. I don't know what that means. Growth Spiral from the opponent. Is the opponent on an Omnath deck? Maybe. Here's Lotus Field. So this might be a situation where we play Vizier next turn. I'm not really sure. Okay, Uro from the opponent. What we would really like to draw is an Arboreal Grazer. That would be great. Ooh, Uro. That's pretty good. So yeah, let's see. We go Uro into Lotus Field. Yeah, that sounds great. All right, opponent cracking the Fabled Passage. I wonder if they have a counterspell. They're looking very much like the 4-color Omnath deck. Right. Cultivate from the opponent. I don't really know what kinds of interaction the opponent's deck plays, so I'm going to assume not that much. Right, and they've revealed Forest and Plains. Growth Spiral. Looking like they're going to escape Uro next turn. So, we can either try to go off this turn on not that much mana, or we can try to go off next turn using tons and tons and tons of mana. Let's do a quick think of pros and cons of each. Pros are, I think if we fizzle here, we should be able to escape Uro still. Cons are obviously because we have this Fae of Wishes in hand, just having tons of mana with all of these untappers means we're basically guaranteed to win if we wait next turn and also, don't die, and also the opponent has no interaction, which I think it hinges most on how much interaction the opponent has, and I really don't know. Well, I think I'm going to do stuff this turn because worst case scenario, we play Uro, best case scenario, the opponent dies. Actually, I guess worst case scenario, they probably counter a hidden strings that's really critical. Yeah, so actually this can go poorly, but I guess if they had hidden strings anyway, then it wouldn't have gone great anyway, but we'll see. I'm willing to give it a shot. The opponent looks like they've F6'd, so that tells us no interaction, almost certainly. I really don't like this graveyard jumping around like that. Let's discard. Do not need a Sylvan Scrying. There's another Uro, but I think I'd rather just escape the one from the graveyard, just to have it. Well, hold on. So we have 2, 5, 8, 9 mana. Yeah, that's not really enough to do anything super meaningful, and I would rather not play Grafdigger's Cage. I would rather just have Uro and stuff. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's get rid of Vizier. Right, let's put a Thespian stage into play. So let's see here. If we play the Grazer, we also get to copy with the Thespian stage. I think that's also true if we play Uro, right? So we play Uro. We would need to pay life on the breeding pool. So I guess with Arboreal Grazer, we actually get to just play the Temple and Scry, which is slightly nicer. Oh, but if we play Uro, we draw a card. All right, let's draw a card, which is actually slightly nicer. We want to keep this one, I think. I really hope I chose the right one there. Pore of the Pages is not quite it, so we're gonna pay life on that. All right, cool. I did choose the right one. All right, so oh, we get to play another land? Did I just completely miss that? I guess so. Pore of the Pages, yes. So technically we fizzled, but I think I'm okay with that. It's turn 4. We've got 11 mana on untap, so I think this is looking pretty good. Oh, look at these lands. Opponent's got the 1 Nyx land in the draft basic M21. Ooh, Escape to the Wilds. That's a good one. Whoops. Wait, where is... Oh, there's Exile Zone. All right, there's a land. Felidar Retreat. Huh. All right, well, they've got cats. The opponent is just so likely to be dead this turn, though. I'm going to start by attacking with Uro, just so that we draw an extra card and we can play the Temple of Mystery to get an extra scry. Right, Thespian stage is not what we need. Opponent with the Chumperonio. And let's start pouring over them pages. Let's see. I think we need this land. Okay, so we are at 2, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana, so not enough to cast, to wish for and cast a Finale. So I think I'm going to cast a Dig Through Time. In case we cast Finale, I'm actually going to leave Pore over the pages and Hidden Strings in the yard. I'm okay with exiling Uro here. Just given that we already have an Uro on board, you know, I don't really feel the need to... Oh, my goodness gracious. That's not good. Okay, I'm going to get a Lotus Field. The reason being, Lotus Field actually does feed the graveyard for dig through time. Oh my god, that was horrifically bad. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so if we get Finale, we currently have 1, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana, so we're 2 short. So we need to dig through time. It would be 4 short. We need to dig into a Hidden Strings, which I think is doable. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, we have 6 cards in the yard. And we might need to play an untapped land, so I think we're just going to have to exile every card in the graveyard. Unfortunately. Tap like this, although it doesn't really matter. Oh my goodness. Alright, I guess I'll get Wolfwillow Haven. Hold on. So we have 2, 5, 6, 7 mana right now. I guess if I take Vizier and Seagate Restoration, then we can draw into Hidden Strings, but like, man. This has gone so much worse than I thought it would. So much worse. Okay, there we go, there we go. All right, so we need to play an untapped land. So let's play this. There we go, let's untap those, not ciphering. I guess this was a case where actually the order on dig through time kind of mattered. But whatever. We'll pour over them pages, tapping 2 lands, discarding a Sylvan Scrying. All right, now with this Wolfwillow Haven. Oh no, I put it on the wrong one. Whatever. Lost a mana because of that, but that's fine. All right, so didn't do the math, but this feels like a lot of mana. All right, let's stop and take a look. 7 plus 10. Oh my god, we're short. Let's see. I guess then I will cast a Finale of Revelation for some amount. This is interesting. I think playing Arboreal Grazer to put a Lotus Field into play actually will net us mana when we untap it with our Revelation, because we're going to spend 1 mana but then get net plus 2 more mana because of playing the Lotus Field. It does mean there's going to be more crap cards to draw, more lands that we don't need, but I think that's fine. Let's just double check how much mana we have. This is 17. Yeah, so play the 2 Grazers and then put 13 mana into this. Yeah. Boom, boom. And then what's this? Sacrifice some more lands. Boom, boom. All right, so when we untap, we're going to have 16 mana. So all we need to do is get like 3 more mana, I think. Okay, yeah, we are solidly in kill our opponent territory at this point. Man, that was too close. All right, I think I should stop wasting time since this is game 1, so. All right. Get this thing and cast this for X equals a lot. X equals 22. Sure. We've brought the opponent to negative 23. All right, so the Omnath deck. I feel like they could have counter spells because they are blue. So I'm gonna bring in Sphinx. Gonna bring in a Wilt and a Dissenter's Deliverance. And I think this is not a go fast matchup, so I think the Arboreal Grazers come out, but I'm not sure about that at all. I'll try it like that. Okay, here we are for game 2. We are going second. Unfortunately, only one land. Sylvan Scrying can't keep this. This one's rough, but I'm gonna keep and hope that we draw something good. I think Hidden Strings to the bottom. So something good would be a green land. Anyway, I also want to note that I used up almost half. Ooh, that's doesn't count. I used up almost half of the clock on game 1. The opponent has used barely any. So I'm going to try to play a lot faster so that if this goes to a game 3, which it's looking increasingly like it will, we'll still have, time for doing stuff. All right, green source, green source, green source. Show us a green source. That is it. We don't need a Sylvan Scrying at this point. So now the play is to next turn Wolfwillow Haven on Lotus Field. Then these Viziers are both +2. The Pore of the pages is still going to be -1 until we get another land. And once we play another land, it's going to be mana neutral because the Lotus Field is going to be 4, and then the next land is going to be 1. But I think that's okay. All right, opponent has boatloads of mana. This Fabled Passage represents 4 mana. Oh my god. I'm just going to F6 here, save some time. The land comes in tapped, and it's 4 mana. This is insane. Oh my god, there's a Growth Spiral, which is free. It's actually mana positive. Oh my god. Our opponent's deck is doing crazy things with their mana. That feels a little bit familiar. There's a Plains. Opponent now has 6 mana. It's turn 3. We're supposed to have 6 mana on turn 3. Opponent does only have 3 cards in hand, so if they're not good ones, then we are looking okay, but I don't know. Don't feel good about this. The part that's rough is we're not even going to be able to go off until 2 turns from now at the very earliest, because next turn is going to be play the Lotus Field and the Wolfwillow Haven, and then the following turn would be, cycle all the Viziers and eventually play Pore of the pages and try to do stuff. Cultivate. Cultivate is only 1 mana. It's net 1 mana because they put a land on the battlefield and make... Oh my god. That's absurd. Well, the fact that they didn't, play a big scary threat like oops, X'd out the wrong one. They didn't play a big scary threat like Uro. Okay, so with Blast Zone, does that change anything? I don't think that changes anything. I think I'm still gonna just play the Lotus Field, put the Wolfwillow Haven on it. Because it's going to be so long before we can blow up those Lotus Cobras, and the opponent already has 5 lands on the battlefield on turn 3 anyway. So I think just having, sacrificing the Thespian stage, I think is fine, is basically what I'm trying to say. Mostly because this Wolfwillow Haven is trying to do its best impression of having a second Lotus Field by, the Viziers are +2. The Pore of the pages is going to be mana neutral, but, it's better than -1. Okay, opponent made a bunch of mana and is casting Escape to the Wilds. They have another Lotus Cobra and another Escape to the Wilds. Holy moly. There's an Evolving Wilds. This is absurd. They could have played the Lotus Cobra that they exiled for free, because they just played 2 more lands. All right, now they're playing the Lotus Cobra. So they missed out on 2 mana, which is good for us, but whatever. So this gets them another land play, which gets them another 3 mana, which can get them a... Oh no, they can bounce Wolfwillow Haven? Oh no. We needed that Wolfwillow Haven, though. Okay, they're just... Oh wait, no, they're cultivating. That means... Oh my god, this is absurd. They can still cast Teferi. Our opponent is doing such ridiculous things with their mana. Come on. Yeah, that sucks for us. Right, and the opponent has a Mystical Dispute, but luckily no mana to cast it right now. Temple of Mystery, not what we want. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to go off this turn because of how awkward our colored mana situation is. Basically, we can't actually put the Wolfwillow Haven on the Lotus Field until after we cycle, or we can't net mana from the Wolfwillow Haven until after we cycle both of our Viziers, right? Because if we make green mana here, then we don't have the blue mana for this Vizier. So I think, yeah, that really sucks. I think we can't go off this turn. We just have to hope that the opponent doesn't do anything. Sylvan Scrying, not where it's at. Yeah, if this temple had been an untapped source, I think that would change things a lot. Opponent with like 10 billion mana. Let's see what they do. We can cast a Growth Spiral, which will net them 1 mana. I don't think they'll be able to use the Mystical Dispute though, right? Till the end of your next turn. Okay, yeah. Right, there's Omnath. Opponent draws a card. Oh man, can they kill us? Because they can hit us for 6 with the Lotus Cobras. So basically, if they get the third trigger of Omnath twice, basically like if they manage to bounce their Omnath or play a second Omnath, then we're going to take 8 from that, which is actually lethal. This is absurd. These cards are standard legal. Our opponent is, look at the cards that our opponent has. This is just a standard deck with some Hinterland Harbors. Admittedly, I haven't played much Standard recently. If this is what Standard is like, I think there's a good reason I haven't played much Standard recently. The heck is going on? All right, opponent is bringing back Uro. All right, I think this one was the mana trigger of Omnath. I wasn't really keeping track that much since we can't do anything anyway. Our opponent has 10 trillion mana with 3 cards in hand. I hope they are all terrible cards. Growth Spiral. Yep. Okay, we're down to 10. This isn't looking good. Yeah, we're going down to 4. Okay, let's see what we can do. So let's start by cycling the Vizier. Let's try again, see what we find. Not much. Okay, let's see. We can play the land, go down to 2 mana floating to copy Lotus Field, and then cast Pore over their pages. I think that's worth it. Oh. Does the opponent have a Mystical Dispute in their hand? Because if so, we are dead. Alright, we've died. Let's try again in game 3. Alright, so do we want an Anger of the Gods for those Lotus Cobras? Maybe. Yeah, I think bringing in an Anger over the last Arboreal Grazer is fine. Not 100% sure about that, though. Arboreal Grazer is pretty good. Maybe over Dissenter's Deliverance. We didn't see any like Damping Sphere or anything. I don't know if they play Damping Sphere. Let's see, we still have the Sphinx at the final word in there, good. Yeah, let's try it like that. Okay, here we are for game 3. We are going first. Unfortunately, this is another lands and spells hand that this deck just can't keep. And this is a 1 land and spells hand. Rough. Our opponent has also mulliganed, but we're going even farther beyond. I think I get rid of Bala Ged Recovery and Hidden Strings and just try to draw into good stuff. Yeah. I think we just want draw power here. Wolfwillow Haven. Yeah, that counts as good stuff. So on turn 3, we'll be able to put the Wolfwillow Haven on Lotus Field, and then we'll be able to play Uro, which is kind of cool. Ooh, or we can just play Uro right now. It'll maybe get Mystically Disputed, but I think that's fine. Yeah, like if our opponent is Mystically Disputing an Uro, I don't think we mind too much. Oh man, Growth Spiral into Mystical Dispute. That sucks though. Okay. Whoops, wrong order, but who cares? All right, there's Omnath. Two Wolfwillow Havens, huh? Let's see. So if we put a Wolfwillow Haven on Lotus Field, we'll have 2 mana floating. We can untap Vizier. We'll have 4 mana, so we'll be able to both strategic plan and use the last Wolfwillow. Kind of like that. So got to use the blue mana here. Let's see. Fae of Wishes? Guess so. Then if we hit good stuff, we'll actually be able to do something. But if we get Temple of Mystery, that actually allows us to play the Lotus Field next turn. Yeah, this is close. I feel like playing Lotus Field is just so valuable. But we do have the 2 Wolfwillow Havens. Oh man, this is tough. I think the fact that we get the Scry as the tiebreaker, this is a really close call though. Okay, yeah, put that on the bottom. All right, let's see what the opponent's got. Tons of mana. Tons and tons and tons of mana. And an Uro. All right, we've taken 4 from Omnath. There's a Lotus Cobra. And what now? Another Omnath, basically just cycling. It has so many abilities, it's kind of insane. Hidden Strings. All right, well, that tells us maybe we should have gotten the whatchamacallit? The Fae of Wishes, but oh well. Too late now. I think I'll exile the Fae of Wishes. Can get rid of Lotus Cobra. Oh wait, no, I can't even do that this turn. I don't have red mana. Well, it would take the Hidden Strings. I think I'm not going to get rid of the Lotus Cobra since I don't really think there's anything the opponent could do with, you know, Lotus Cobra that they can't do with Omnath. So yeah. All right. Tons of mana. Tons and tons of mana. Let's see, 5, 10, 12, 13 mana right now. Genesis Ultimatum. Maybe I should have killed the Lotus Cobra. Look at the top 5. Any number of permanents onto the battlefield. Oh my god. This is horrific. The opponent just should not be allowed to do these kinds of things. This is just, shouldn't be legal. Felidar Retreat. Shoot, are they going to be able to kill us? Oh no, to Fairy. That's really annoying. Cycle Zagoth Triome as their last thing. Okay. Well, I feel like we need to win, and we need to win immediately. So let's see what we've got. Given that we need to win right now, we'll scry and see what we can do. Pore over the pages is the best. All right. Vizier is fine. It's actually just free mana, so. This is free mana, free card in hand. or a free card in graveyard rather. All right, Sylvan Scrying. Does this do anything? Opponent has too many different mana costs, so trying to cast Sylvan Scrying for whatchamacallit is not going to be good enough. Blast Zone is what I'm trying to say. So I think we need to draw something off of this Uro draw. And if we don't, pretty sure we're screwed. All right, pore over the pages. Pore over the... no. All right. Let's see here. I mean, guess I'll cast Anger of the Gods just to kill Lotus Cobra. And I might as well cast this. Sure. I'll get Lotus Field so that we can put more lands in the graveyard if we really need to. All right, well, I feel like we might be dead. Teferi Plus. Second Omnath. Guess they didn't get any landfall triggers off the first Omnath. I guess we're not just dead here. Cultivate. So they've got 2 landfall triggers on Omnath, which means tons of mana. They can play Uro. They also have some triggers on the Felidar Retreat. So there's a Cat Beast. Another land. Tons of mana. Another Cat Beast. Have we even drawn any Pore over the pages? Jeez. It's really the card that we need. All right, there's an Uro for the opponent. Opponent is at a ton of life, so this is going to be kind of hard to kill them with Debt to the Deathless. Maybe this is the kind of deck where it should change what kinds of decisions are made based on how you want to win the game. All right, so notably, our opponent will be able to cast this Mystical Dispute. So they basically took us off 3 mana by doing that, which is kind of brutal. All right, well, now we're dead on board, so now we're going to have to definitely attack. So let's get in there. Sure, I'll attack the opponent. Doesn't really make a difference. Fae of Wishes, huh? All right, so really the only thing we can do is make a wish, and then we'll have 1, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Oh! See if the opponent mystically disputes this. All right, so they do mystically dispute it. So if we spend the 3 mana, well, we can escape Uro now, which opponent has their own Uro. I think we say no to this. We say okay. Oops. We make a blue here, colorless here, green here. Play this. Shoot, I think I should have made blue. No, I don't think it makes a difference. Right, exile the graveyard. Yeah, we can't do anything with the hidden strings anyway, so. All right, I'm still not sure if we're dead or not. There's a Lotus Cobra. Felidar Retreat. Land. guess the Felidar Retreat really buffs up all of the opponent's creatures, so maybe they can... Yeah, I think we might be dead, since if they hit us for 4, we're at 12, and then they just need 12 between these two things, which they have. So, yeah, I guess that means I needed to make creatures. Well, I'm gonna chump. Better than losing. I think the opponent just forgot to attack with that. All right, well, no matter what happens, we need a completely insane draw or we are dead on board. Dig through time. Maybe. All right, so unfortunately, we're going to have to exile our whole graveyard of 2 cards and our whole mana pool of 6 mana. See what we've got. If the opponent has any kind of hard counterspell here, we're also dead. Like that. All right, GG. See you for the last match. Okay, here we are for the 5th and final match. We have lost the die roll. Our opponent has a Lurrus deck. And unfortunately, this hand has all sorts of great cards in it, but is completely unplayable. Okay, this hand is looking a lot better. Given that the opponent's on a Lurrus deck, I think we're going to want to get rid of Dig Through Time. Because I think Uro is usually good against Lurrus decks. And then we'll have the turn 1 RBG for a blocker, play the Yavimaya Coast, and then turn 2 we can either Sylvan Scry or we can Lotus Field. Or actually, I guess we can both. Sorry, we can either Sylvan Scry or we can Uro, depending on what we draw, I guess. So keep that, bottom that. Interesting. Springleaf Drum from the opponent. They're on artifacts, I guess. So gotta make sure we put the correct land into play here. So one awkward thing is if we use Sylvan Scrying to get Thespian stage, then we won't be able to use Uro. Let's see, what's the opponent? Oh, and Soul Artifact. I think I'm going to jump block while the jumping is good. Getting a card in the graveyard for Uro is, you know, fine. Okay. So we can Sylvan Scry for Thespian stage and then either play Temple or Lotus Field. And then if we play Temple, we'll be able to next turn cast Uro, put the Lotus Field into play, put the Thespian stage into play, but we won't be able to copy it. Yeah, costing 3 mana is just so much. Yeah, if this were an untapped land too, we would be looking pretty great, because then we go untapped land, Uro, play Lotus Field, and then next turn we would be able to Sylvan Scry plus do the thing. As it stands, we're 1 mana short. I think I'm going to Sylvan Scry and then play the Temple. Hidden Strings. All right, that might actually do something. So next turn, we can use Temple plus Yavimaya Coast to Hidden Strings the Lotus Field. So we'll have Botanical Sanctum, Lotus Field untapped. So that's 4 mana. So, oof. That glitters. So we'll be able to spend 3 on Uro and then play Thespian stage. Darn. This doesn't actually do anything. Guess I should have waited on the jump. All right, well, in that case, I'm just going to play Uro and see what we've got. Also, if the opponent has a Stubborn Denial, I'm pretty sure we're just dead. So I'm not going to bother playing around Stubborn Denial. And let's see, what if they have another All That Glitters? Then that adds 4, 5 power. Yeah, our opponent is really representing a Stubborn Denial here, but I don't think we can beat it, so. Well, okay, let's see. So what if we pay 2 life here, and go Hidden Strings on Hollowed Fountain and land. Then they're forced to Stubborn Denial it, and we'll have 4 mana available, which is not enough to do anything. So I guess it does let us play Uro if we tap correctly. If we go blue colorless, Hidden Strings, tap untap, and then we pay 2 life and we can play Uro. I think that's the only way we can beat a Stubborn Denial, and I feel fairly confident that the opponent has it. So what if we go Wolfwillow Haven here, and then tap this, 2 mana. All right, yeah, then we wouldn't be able to Uro. So I think this is our only course of action that beats Stubborn Denial. Yep, knew it. Right, we'll take some damage. And unfortunately, Uro is going to have to chump, which is brutal. Our opponent has only 1 card in hand. I really hope, well, 2 now. I guess it's not, or I hope it's not another Stubborn Denial, and I hope it's not another removal spell. Although I guess they actually have a lot of looks, given this Bombat Courier. Oh, okay, or we're just dead. So this is one of the rare matchups where I like citing in all of these naturalized effects. Normally I like saving some for Fae of Wishes, but it's just really important to destroy our opponent's stuff. Do we want Sphinx of the Final Word? I think the opponent's going to be bringing in like mystical disputes and stuff, so I think so. I don't think Anger of the Gods is what we want because they're going to have big creatures. So I think we trim some dig, some strategic plans, 1 Wolfwillow, and I guess I'm fine trimming like 1 Fae of Wishes. All right, let's try it like that. All right, here we are for game 2. We are going first. If we had another land, I would absolutely keep this one. Okay. Yeah, I think we keep this one and bottom an Uro. We can at least do stuff. And then these Viziers are going to represent +1 mana once we get the Lotus Field out. Ginger Brute. All right, we're taking 1. And let's see what the draw is. Blast Zone. All right, I'll play the Yavimaya Coast and pass the turn. So I think if we draw, well, I think no matter what, I probably want to play Uro. Ghost Fireblade, oh, rough. Well, at least it's not in Soul. All right, unfortunately, this Uro is only netting us 1 life here, but I think that's okay. Do I play this Blast Zone? Yeah, I feel like, well, okay, let's see. If I play the Breeding Pool, that's net -2 life. It's net -1 life to hide the fact that we have a Blast Zone, and then maybe the opponent will play more 1s. Feel like I'm willing to pay 1 life for that. All right, let's see what the opponent's got. Bombat Courier. Ensoul Artifact. Okay, yeah, I think hiding the fact that we have Blast Zone is going to work out pretty well. So I'm pretty sure next turn we're just going to activate the Blast Zone. Do we want to do it while the opponent is tapped out so that they can't get this Bombat Courier card? I don't think so. They have hasty 1-drops. I think I'm willing to allow them access to that card at the cost of the rest of their hand. Yeah, there's no way they can do anything about this Blast Zone, right? So I'm probably just going to activate this beginning of combat, you know, just so that they can't really cast a hasty spell, do anything meaningful. Mutavault active. All right, we're down to 6. Opponent paying life on the Hollowed Fountain. Springleaf Drum. All right, so that's looking like a Stubborn Denial, but this time without whatever it's called, Ferocious. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, I think I'll just cycle the Vizier before playing a land. I don't think it makes a huge difference. So we could theoretically cast Seagate Restoration, but I don't think that's going to be what we want to do. I think I would rather draw a card with Uro. I guess the opponent could have Mystical Dispute. Hold on. So we can play around Mystical Dispute. We would have 2 mana floating. We can play a land to play around Mystical Dispute. So I am going to do that. Go ahead and play the Botanical Sanctum. I don't think it makes a huge deal how I tap, so. Right, the opponent appears to have F6'd, so no Mystical Dispute, but we are drawing entirely too many lands. Pore over the Pages. It is going to be net -1 mana, but I think that's going to be worth it. Opponent has 3 cards in hand and is doing a big think. All right, there's a Bombmat Courier. And putting Lurrus in their hand. I forgot to pop out the thing, but yeah, they've got a Lurrus. Okay, so they still do have a blue mana, which represents either Mystical Dispute or Stubborn Denial. They didn't have it last turn. One of their cards in hand is Lurrus. Let's see, so next turn they're going to get to go Lurrus plus either Ensoul or something, so it's kind of brutal. But I do think we want to Uro and play a land. All right, Wilt, that's pretty sick. So because of that, I think I want to Pore over the Pages, and then if the opponent counters that, that's okay, and then we'll still have Wilt. And they basically need exactly Mystical Dispute to counter this, which I am okay with them having. They do not. I'm gonna get rid of their Bala Ged Recovery or Yavimaya Coast. Guess Bala. All right, how about I get rid of Yavimaya Coast and then I play Bala Ged Recovery on Pore over the Pages and play Lotus Field. And then we'll have Wilt plus Natural State up on the opponent's turn. That sounds really sick. I like that. Really like these flexible cards. Oh, wait a second. I should tap a land that we're going to sacrifice to that Lotus Field. So I want to recover this thing and play Lotus Field. All right, so we still have a Natural State and Wilt, which is going to be pretty excellent against whatever the opponent does, I think. All right, Ginger Brute. What is the follow-up? All That Glitters. And All That Glitters. Bad news, opponent. That Ginger Brute is dead. All right, now I have an interesting choice of, do I want to keep this Wilt in hand? I think the answer is yes, in case we fizzle. The opponent only has Lurrus, but that means they have access to All That Glitters and all that nonsense. Ooh, that's pretty good. So I think I'm going to attack first, just see what we draw, and that gives us more options when we cast Pore over the Pages and decide what to discard. Okay, let's see. So we can Wolfwillow Haven, a Lotus Field, and then we'll go 5 mana, Pore over the Pages, untap these 2. Yeah, That sounds great. Oh, wait. Didn't even need to... Right, didn't even need to tap that. Okay. Don't think we need Arboreal Grazer. Not sure what land I want to play yet, so I think I'm going to save the Scry. We're looking at a lot of cards anyway with this dig through time. And also this Pore over the pages. All right, dog through time. Let's see what we can find. Not much. Hidden Strings and Lotus Field, I guess. All right. Well, the opponent has had enough for this game. Let's see what to do for game 3. Any changes? I could see adding a fog. It could buy us a turn. Don't really know what to take out if we bring fog in, though. All of these cards are so important. Yeah, I think I'll try it like this, and we can always wish for fog if we need to. But hopefully we don't need to. All right, here we are for game 3. This hand is not great, but I am going to keep it because of Natural State Wilt. We can try to scry into a second land before we play the Lotus Field. Obviously, we'd like an untapped land, so we could Natural State whatever the opponent plays first. If they put an All That Glitters or a Scissors onto this Gingerbrute, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I think I play Forest here. So now we'll have Natural State up. Hopefully the opponent just goes land All That Glitters, and we'll go boom, Natural State. All according to plan. All right, opponent has 3 cards in hand. Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful draw. That one's not, though. That one can go to the bottom. Bombette Courier. Springleaf Drum. I think I'm just going to hit the Courier now. I don't want them, you know, being able to get extra cards off of the Bombette Courier. And this way, if they were planning on playing a 2-drop, now they can't. So, all right, we're going to be off of Wilt for a turn, but that's fine. All right, opponent is putting Lurrus in their hand. Pretty good. So they have 2 cards in hand, one of which is Lurrus. And land. Oh, geez. Okay, I think we're in a spot where we just need to... Maybe I should have done this last turn now that I'm thinking about it. We just need to find a land, and I think I'm willing to sacrifice Wilt to try to get there. Ooh. That's a good land, but I should have... Yeah, whatever. Yeah, basically, if I had sacrificed, or if I had cycled the Wilt last turn, we would be in much better shape. But I think we're still okay. So the opponent can go Lurrus into Gingerbrute or Bombette Courier, probably Bombette Courier. Or they can go Lurrus into All That Glitters, which would be an interesting play as well. But the next turn, I think we're going to try to go off with what we've got in hand. All right, there's Lurrus. All right, there's a Gingerbrute. We've got 1 card in hand. All right, we're getting attacked. Okay, I think I'm gonna try to go off even if the opponent has something. So the way I'm gonna do this is first I'm going to Hidden Strings our 2 lands once. This will leave us 2 mana floating. And then if the opponent doesn't have a counterspell, we can use the 2 floating mana to copy Thespian Stage, or for Thespian Stage to copy Lotus Field. Then we're going to untap again, so we'll have a total of 7 mana. Yeah, and if the opponent does have a counterspell, then we will deal with it. So if they counter this, we can still set up for next turn by casting Hidden Strings, and then, so yes, yes. So now we copy this. And now we Hidden Strings one more time. All right, so that's fine. So now next turn, we get to Pore of the Pages multiple times. Yeah, and we theoretically could have taken them off Spire of Industry, but then they have Springleaf Drum, so we couldn't actually have taken them off of Mystical Dispute. This is looking like all that glitters from the graveyard. Oh, on Lurrus. that's a big one. And there's Mutavault. Yeah, so I guess if the opponent drew exactly either Stubborn to Not, like if they drew exactly a counterspell, then we're dead. But you know, they use up their last card in hand last turn, so if they drew it, they deserve to win this game, which they did not. All right, that's a lot of lands. Hopefully we can draw some real spells. Yeah, I think I don't want to play a land yet. Let's see here. So 9, 10 mana. That is theoretically enough for Hour of Revelation. The opponent's still attacking their thing. I think I would rather make a riskier play and dig through time, because we're reasonably likely to hit something, and even if we don't, we still have 6 cards in the graveyard for second dig through time, so I'll get rid of a natural state. Okay, Hidden Strings, Vizier. That sounds pretty good to me. Ooh, Wolfwillow Haven. So the Wolfwillow Haven is basically free. Let's see, so we use the 2 floating mana, and then we have 7 plus 5, 12. Yeah, I think that sounds good. All right, so 12 mana gets us Ugin. I guess another option is we could Seagate Restoration and then try to do something, but Ugin allows us to -3 kill all that glitters and Lurrus, and then the opponent has, let's see, 1, 2, 3 artifacts, so 4. I guess an all that glitters would kill us after that. So I guess the more conservative route would be to go Fae of Wishes for Hour of Revelation, destroy all these things, and then we could play Fae of Wishes, I think. Let's see. 4. So yeah, we would be able to play Fae of Wishes and also Temple of Mystery after that. So I think I'm going to go for the more conservative line rather than try to get Ugin on board. Okay. Let's get one of these. And then the opponent didn't have a counterspell for so long, I'm not going to bother trying to play around anything. Dig through time seems great. Did we not have a second dog through time in hand? I thought we did. Whoops. Whatever. Springleaf Drum. All right, opponent's out of cards. Cool, this is looking good. So I feel like we just cast a draw 5 since the opponent has no cards in hand. Draw 5 sounds pretty good to me. Neat. Go ahead and play this. Sure. I think we're going to be okay. No attacks. Opponent with no cards in hand. They're probably dead here. think it really matters what I exile here. All right. Sure, I'll get the mana positive things. Let's see, so 6 plus 4 plus 2. Great. So I guess I'll play a land so that we draw an extra card with this Finale of Revelation. Whoops. The opponent has no cards in hand, so we're not getting countered. We're also not going to deck ourselves. All right. Basically looking for just Wolfwillow Haven, since Wolfwillow Haven will net us mana. I guess I should double check that I didn't pass it. Okay, yeah, it's not there. All right, probably also should have done the math at some point of if we can kill them. Let's see, we have 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, plus 4, plus 4. That sounds lethal to me. All right, let's double check how much we got here. Let's see, 9, 17, 20, 23. Yeah, so we're putting 19 mana into Death from the Deathless. Sounds great. And there we go. I'll see you for the wrap up. So we went 4-1, which is pretty good. We beat Jeskai Yorion Fires. We beat Rakdos Lurrus. We beat the Mirror Match, another Lotus Field combo deck. We lost to 4-color Omnath, and we beat Blue, White, and Soul Artifact. So that was a pretty good range of archetypes. We have the more controlling Yorion Fires. We've got the more aggressive Rakdos Lurrus and Blue, White, and Soul Artifact. We have the rampy, Omnath, and we have the combo matchup. So I do think that this deck is a lot better suited against the aggro, mid-range, and control builds than it is against like a ramp or a combo deck. We kind of noticed that where we just didn't really have cards to bring in or cards to wish for against Omnath or against Lotus Field. So that might be something to look for in the sideboard. But I was really happy with the main deck configuration. We want to maximize on our combo pieces, our untap effects. I thought having 3 Fae of Wishes was basically just the right amount. Didn't feel like we were drawing them too often, but I did feel like when we wanted them, we had them in hand. I like the split of our ramp suite. So Arboreal Grazer, I think, needs to be the one that we play the most of because we want Arboreal Grazer on turn 1. Then Wolfwillow Haven, just having 2 in the deck means you'll sometimes draw 1, you'll sometimes draw 2, but you'll never draw 3, which feels like too many. And 2 Wolfwillow Havens is really good for basically supercharging all of those untap effects. Even just the first Wolfwillow Haven is really good for getting up to the amount of mana you need in order to Granted for lethal. And then Uro can sometimes be clunky. 3 mana is kind of a lot for the early game, right? For when you want to be ramping. And the fact that, it doesn't get cast off the Lotus Field is kind of awkward. The fact that Lotus Field will only give you 2 mana towards escape, right? Because it'll only tap for green, green, green or blue, blue, blue. It's a little bit awkward, but Uro is, overall a pretty good card. And I think having 2 copies is reasonable. Sylvan Scrying, obviously really important. Strategic planning, also a great cantrip that fills the yard for Uro and Dog Through Time. And then the new cards, Bala Ged Recovery and Seagate Restoration. I was very impressed. I didn't think we would be casting the spell sides too often, but when we did, they were quite good. So, Bala Ged Recovery, whether it's just making an extra mana by grabbing a Hidden Strings and then, spending 5 mana to get 6 mana, or setting up for next turn by getting a Pore over the pages, it was pretty solid. And then, obviously the fact that we can play it as a land when we need to is also very good. And then Seagate Restoration, it appears like it could be a win more card, right? If you already have the 7 mana to spend on Seagate Restoration and you have a bunch of cards in your hand and you think you can kill them, right? Like, what's the point? But it turns out, there were a lot of times where our hand was just like a bunch of Arboreal Grazers and lands, and, being able to cast Seagate Restoration and then draw 5 cards, and, maybe we get to go land Hidden Strings after that and then maybe kill them, was really, really powerful. And again, the fact that it's a land means when you don't have the 7 mana for it, or if it's the early game, or you just need another land, you get to play it as a land. So the flexibility is excellent, and the front sides of both of these cards were much better than I thought they would be. I'm not sure if I would play more than one each, just given they are kind of expensive for the effects, right? 7 mana to draw some cards is a lot of mana. 3 mana to get something back from the graveyard is a lot of mana. So you don't really want to overload on, these kinds of effects that are overcosted. But overall, I really did like their inclusion in the deck. As for the sideboard, I was impressed by most of the cards. Hour of Revelation is, again, a pretty good failsafe when you just can't quite get enough mana to kill your opponent or get an Ugin. Temporal Trespass was unfortunately the most underwhelming card in the deck, and I think the most likely one for me to cut. I say that with a heavy heart. It means there will be literally no extra turn spells in the deck, but it just wasn't very impressive. Finale of Revelation is great as a way to get extra cards. It also almost always leads to winning the game when you have 16 mana, enough to cast granted for Finale of Revelation x10, but not enough to kill your opponent with Debt to the Deathless. Thought Distortion was pretty good in the combo matchup, and I think also would have been very good against Yorion Fires if we needed to use it there. One interesting part is this really is our only anti-combo card. The rest of the cards just don't really deal with combos unless it happens to be, an artifact-based combo. So this kind of effect might be something to look for, especially if more decks like Lotus Field become popular in Pioneer. The 2 Anger of the Gods I thought was a really good split. Being able to draw into Anger of the Gods naturally was really nice. A lot less mana intensive than, needing to spend turn 4 wishing for Anger of the Gods and then turn 5 actually casting it. But being able to bring 1 in while having 1 in the sideboard to wish for, I thought was a really good flexibility. The Fog was also kind of underwhelming, but I do think it's best against the Winota deck or the Boros Feather decks that really hit you hard on a single turn. So I think it's fine to have it in the sideboard. The Natural States and Dissenter's Deliverance and Wilt, I think, are great. I think I would keep this package as long as Damping Sphere and Alpine Moon see any amount of play. The Grafdigger's Cage was also great. It stopped our Lurrus opponent from really doing much with their Lurrus. It's also good against Naya Winota, which we didn't play against. One possibility is if you're in a meta with a lot of graveyard decks, you might want to replace this with a Tormod's Crypt, or maybe even play this in addition to Tormod's Crypt, just so that you have access to Graveyard Hate on turn 4, right, when you cast Granted and then play your 0 mana Tormod's Crypt, versus waiting until turn 5 to play your Grafdigger's Cage. Ugin the Spirit Dragon was excellent. Debt to the Deathless, obviously we need this to win the game. And Sphinx of the Final Word was absolutely amazing against Yorion, and I would absolutely keep this in any meta that has counterspells. So one matchup that we kind of struggled with was the Omnath ramp deck. So if that deck picks up in popularity, we might want to dedicate a sideboard slot to attacking it, maybe by taking out Temporal Trespass. So one possibility here is Confounding Conundrum, given that they have so many cards like Evolving Wilds, Fabled Passage, like Growth Spiral, like Uro, that just put extra lands onto the battlefield. This might be one way to, attack that avenue. But because they have Lotus Cobra and Omnath, they can still make mana even if they're bouncing lands to their hand. So this might not actually be the way to go against that deck. I'm really not sure. Especially since with things like Evolving Wilds, they can just play the Evolving Wilds on their turn and then crack it on our turn. So the Confounding Conundrum doesn't actually set them back at all in that case. So I'm not really sure what other options there are for that matchup, but it's something to think about. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you for the next one.